And what's really important, if you're in bed asleep at that point, you're getting physical rest. It's when your body is just starting to repair itself. And then the latter stages of sleep between 2 and 5 is when we get psychological repair.
They haven't got clarity on just like where the business is going, or they have got like, there's a direction they haven't mapped out. There's no roadmap. There's no blueprint for it. So that then leads to just doing everything and anything.
Welcome to the Awaken Man podcast. You join me, Mr. Peter Taylor, and today we are talking about, Pete?
Burnout.
Honestly, Pete, I've met so many guys since I've been a professional consultant, coach, trainer who've experienced burnout. And I think that there's so many factors when it comes to men burning out that are not being discussed. And what I want to do on today's podcast is really just go through some of the things that, if you're listening to this podcast, that you can identify. And then what we're also going to do is going to give you some pragmatic steps to actually overcome those things as well. We don't want to just talk about some of the symptoms. We're going to give you some of the stuff that we've either seen, done, or done ourselves to overcome what is burnout. And Pete, tell me about burnout. Like, what's your experience of burnout personally?
Yeah, well, I'll just go straight into this. Like, most of the shit that we talk about is because we've been through it, right? There's nothing that we talk about or that we say that we haven't done or haven't tested. And I think we're quite big advocates of that, of like not just reading a book and going, oh, that sounds good, I'm going to go and talk about that. It's like, no, we're going to go through this, or we've been through this. So like burnout for me, like I have absolutely been through that many a time. Like now, like even like now I feel great, to be honest, but like not so long ago, like I could feel myself edging into it where I'm just pushing, like I'm burning the candle at both ends sort of thing. I'm just doing a bit too much and I'm not allowing myself to rest, both physically and mentally, right? That's the thing. Like we can sometimes just allow ourselves to rest, maybe like physically, but then we're still thinking, we're still like, we're still going over shit. We're going, oh, do you know what? I'm gonna write some stuff down. I'm gonna do some stuff, right? But it's got to be both mental and physical rest to kind of alleviate burnout.
Yeah, it's actually interesting. We're doing this podcast having just done a powerful breathwork session, which had a 15-minute stillness part after it. So it was like aggressive breathing for 15 minutes, powerful breathing, followed by 15 minutes of stillness. And honestly, the insights, the clarity you get, and I think so many men are addicted to doing. We literally feel that, like I say we, I'm going to say I have felt in the past where I just have to be doing the next thing. I'm a human doing instead of a human being. I'm literally going from task to task, trying to cram as much in my day as possible, because I think to start off with, I based a lot of my self-worth on how much I got done in the day. If I did lots, I got stuff done, then I'm a better human, I'm a better person, I'm a better dad, I'm a better partner, I'm a better business person. And I think it's quite corrosive, because even just going to the last podcast we shared is that that's our model for creating success. Yeah, because we live in the slow lane, we're creating wealth with a slow lane mindset. We feel like we always have to be doing. The only way we're going to get success is by doing more. And I think what I see does lead to a lot of burnout. Men want huge amounts of financial success, wealth, they want time, but the actual roadmap that they're using to get it is to work harder, because that's all they can do with the blueprint of wealth that they're using.
You're spot on. That's where my head was going with this, is that like I had when I went through massive periods of burnout, and when I see other guys going through periods of burnout, one of the big symptoms is just not having clear direction. So they're like, they haven't got clarity on like what the fuck they want in life. They haven't got clarity on just like where the business is going, or they have got like, there's a direction they haven't mapped out. There's no roadmap. There's no blueprint for it. So that then leads to just doing everything and anything, right? And we become like busy fools, and it's like we're just overworking, just trying to do everything, because we're not really clear on where we're going, and we're not really clear and what we need to do to get there. So then we just end up doing a bit of this, a bit of that. We end up being really reactive to other people's wants and needs, and then we do a bit of this, and we do something that they want us to do, and then before we know it, we're sat at the computer at 10 o'clock at night, not doing a lot, just looking at it.
Heard many a man tell me that story. And I think it's like the definition of burnout is where you start to see severe drops in performance, lack of clarity. You start to experience the symptoms of burnout, which is getting ill. You stop getting results in your training is a big sign of burnout. This is like you said, obviously being in the fitness background, I saw this so much, is that guys couldn't understand why coming into the gym and going in the gym for 2 to 3 hours and they weren't getting any leaner. Increases in body fat, not reduction. And then also terrible sleep. Like terrible sleep and sleep dysregulation is a really big humdinger symptom of burnout. So what I'd like to do next is just go through some of these symptoms, ways that they are created and why they're created like in this way, and then what you can do to solve it. And let's talk about, first of all, sleep. We've done podcasts about we talked about sleep in the past. What I found that I was doing is that when my sleep was at its worst, I convinced myself, because I hit the pillow and fell asleep, that I had good sleep. I used to tell people that was my narrative. I was like, oh yeah, I'm a great sleeper. I literally hit the pillow and I'm flat asleep. The reason is I was going to bed at 11 o'clock. And the reason I was going to bed at 11 o'clock, because I started going to bed at 10 o'clock. And what happens is I tell myself I'm going to bed at 10 o'clock, but I'm faffing around, locking the doors, tidying down the house, chatting in bed, maybe having sex. And it gets to like 11 o'clock. And that's when I start to go to sleep. And then I fall straight asleep. And then I've got this early commitment of getting up at 5 to start my day with work. So my actual sleeping window is 6 hours. And if I'm a good sleeper, 80% of that is going to be actual sleep. So I'm getting around about 5 hours of good quality sleep, if that. And then I'm trying to function optimally off that 5 hours of sleep. Now, this is something I learned from, I think it was Poliquin that talked about this to great deals. Like, the first 3 hours of sleep are the most important sleep for physical regeneration. So between 9 and 12 is when you get your biggest waves of testosterone, growth hormone. It's when your liver does all of its work. And what's really important, if you're in bed at sleep at that point, you're getting physical rest. It's when your body is just starting to repair itself. And then the latter stages of sleep between 2 and 5 is when we get psychological repair. And what I was doing is I wasn't giving myself significant time for physical and psychological repair, yet I was taxing myself all the way through the day. Pushing myself, I was doing CrossFit at the time, then I was get up early, drive to work because I was living 45 minutes away from the gym. I just burnt out. I really did burn out. I felt really ill. I was getting ill frequently. So I bought an Aura ring. And this is the remedy. It's the first thing to do if you're experiencing poor sleep is get some kind of data. Get some kind of data on how you're sleeping, because just acknowledging the data, not the drama, which was the data saying, Ben, you've got terrible sleep. Your sleep score's around about 60. You're only actually getting 5 hours, 4 hours of good quality sleep. I was like, right, I need to remedy this very, very quickly. And that's where my commitment to investing in better sleep started to begin. And that was like 4 or 5 years ago. So that's the kind of the symptom, and the remedy is start getting some kind of data around your sleep, and then working with a trained professional or going a mile deep, learning about sleep in order to optimize your sleep.
What's that great book? What's that book on sleep?
Why We Sleep by Matthew Walker. There's a few of them. There's a few good sleep books, but I think what a good way to improve anything, like your value for anything, is improved when the more you learn about it. So there's Why We Sleep by Matthew Walker. There's actually a very niche book called Bold Endeavors, Tales of Polar Exploration and Space Travel. And it's about astronauts and people that visit the polar ice caps because they've got 24-hour daylight. And what it talks about is simple things that you can do within your sleep regime, like your sleep hygiene routine, in order to sleep much better. And Pete, you've actually had a sleep coach. You've done, I'll let you share. Like, what have you done to improve your sleep to help with burnout?
A lot of stuff I do is just freaking simple, right? But then most of like everything that we need in life, whether it's business or whether it's improving our sleep or whether it's improving our fitness or even and our relationships, it's always the simple stuff, right? It's getting to bed on time, right? Like Ben just said there, like actually allowing myself to have that time in bed. Like if I want 8 hours, but I'm not in bed 8 hours, and I'm never going to get it. So it's like going to bed. I go to bed at like 9 o'clock and then I'm up at 5:30. All right. So I've got like suitable time in bed. I give myself enough time to fall asleep and then actually sleep. But then it's the prep work before going to bed, right? So it's like making sure that like I'm eating like 3 hours before, so I've got time to digest the food. One of my biggies, I never read this anyway. I just figured it out, was just not drinking like too close to bedtime. Because if you drink like a load of water too close to your bedtime, you're going to need, I used to need to get up for a piss in the middle of the night. So it disrupts your sleep because you wake up needing a piss. So I'd stopped drinking at like 7:30. I just don't drink a lot after then. And now I don't get up in the night and have to have a piss.
Yeah, well, actually, Chinese medicine would state that the time that you go for a piss in the middle of the night is a symptom, is if you've got physical or adrenal stress.
I've heard about that. Yeah.
So it is actually, there's a symptom there as well. Actually, just a really simple one that Pete said, going to bed on time. Like, we speak to so many guys and they are trying to catch up with work. And actually, but this is the second thing, is that because their business model is broken, their underlying profitability of their business, the way that their business is modeled, the way that they've led the business, they're the busiest person in the business. That is why they don't sleep. So it's like, what comes first, the chicken or the egg? Do they have to change their sleep in order to be able to change the business model, or do they need to do them at the same time? And actually, this is what we help guys with. Like, literally had conversations over the last couple of days with guys about this very thing. It's like, whilst you've retain this business model and sell at this price and sell to this audience, you're always going to be busy. And if you're okay with that and you're committing to long, hard days, that's fine. However, it looks like it's not working for you. And I think, guys, if you're listening to this, sometimes you do need to look at your business model and say, this ain't fucking working.
But the quickest way to get help there, and this isn't me promoting us, because you can go to anyone, right? As long as they've got credibility and they've got experience and I know what they're doing here, is get a coach, get a mentor, get a consultant that can come in and can look at it and go, well, I've been there before. Here's what you need to do. Oh my God, it will save you a ton of time, a ton of money, ton of burnout.
Yeah, it will. It will. So the next one is, this is actually a really simple one, is a symptom of burnout is not being able to celebrate. And this is like, if you read the book Burnout by the Vygotsky twins, is they never celebrate. Like, it's like they're not they. It's like people don't celebrate. And actually, if you look at cultural patterns across the UK, across the world, is that we have celebration built into periods of work and then rest. So if you think about Harvest Festival used to be in the UK, which is an agricultural country. We'd have the harvest, and then we'd have a bank holiday where we would literally have a festival where everyone would go and get drunk, celebrate, all those things to mark the end of a work period. Same with Christmas, same with the early parts of the year, the Easter. And these religious festivals were always built in to allow people to rest and celebrate. What people do now is they have this kind of work treadmill where they don't build in ways to celebrate. Now, this is what's really important here. When you celebrate and you literally mark the task as done, there's something that happens within the brain that says, that's finished, that's done. Now, what guys often do is they push so many of the things off into the future, and they're always working. They never actually stop. The brain is constantly in this slowly, steadily gaining cortisol, adrenaline. So it's just kind of teepering. It never gets a chance to empty and celebrate. So we built into our program a Friday, every single Friday, guys celebrating one another, their results, things that are going well. And it's also an opportunity for guys to say, hey, by the way, I've finished this project. I've got this done. I've closed this deal. And that closure just allows their nervous system to settle down over the weekend and get ready for Saturday, Sunday, Monday, whenever they start work again. And honestly, the difference, because men have a resistance to this when they first start. But when they start doing it, they're like, holy shit, I actually feel really good. And I'm like, part of it is you're getting closure on the stuff that you've done.
This is me 101. And I know plenty of entrepreneurs that do the same, business owners and leaders. We just moved the goalpost. So it's like, I want to earn 100K. I start a new business, I want to do 100K. We get to 100K, don't celebrate it because we already moved it to 250K. Right? And then we get to 250K and it's like, we don't celebrate it. So, and we already go, well, no, I can just do 500 now. No, now I'll do the million. And we get to the million and still not celebrate it, right? Because we're just like, before we get there, we're just moving the goalpost every time.
What did you do when you realized that your business had turned over its first million?
Not a lot. I bought a watch.
I did.
Yeah. So there was celebration, right? But definitely wasn't what I imagined it to be, right? It was just another day, and it was just like back to business, on to the next.
The third symptom, of burnout is low libido, low sex drive. Talking about, even me and Pete were chatting about this morning. Morning Wood, one of my old health consultants I work with quite closely. He said one of the easiest ways to ask a guy how he is in himself, in terms of how burnt out he is, how energetic he is. Like, what's your morning wood like? And how rigid is it? How long does it last? Stay there for a long time? Because men, you should be waking up under a tent. It's a physiological, biological drive in the morning. Testosterone's at its highest relative to your cortisol levels. You should be waking up, with a tent in the duvet. And
what did you say earlier on about the rhino?
Oh yeah, it should be so stiff it could pierce the side of a rhinoceros. It literally, that's the thing, right? Is that most men have accepted this low level standard for their erectile health, but I'll tell you why. I've talked about it on previous podcasts. Erectile health is directly correlated with heart health, because it's actually the biggest consumer of testosterone in the body isn't your sex drive, it's actually your heart, because testosterone is one of the hormones that's actually responsible for contraction of the muscle. And if you think about it, a heart is just continually contracting. So if you've got low levels of testosterone, not only are you going to have your man's going to be looking at the floor, it's your heart that you have to be more concerned about. That's why bodybuilders die with heart conditions. Normally, bodybuilders die young, normally some sort of heart issue, because they've taken so much added testosterone that their actual testosterone production starts to kind of be dysregulated. So what you got to think about, guys, is that if you're not waking up with morning wood, feeling good, feeling energized, it's likely there are some things that are leading to some kind of burnout or problems in your testosterone levels. So here's some remedies. first and foremost, starting to learn how to train properly. If you overtrain, like training really, really hard, will actually inhibit testosterone production. Like hard CrossFit for hours, multiple times a week, actually not helpful. In the Awakened 8, so if you go on to awakened8.com, I actually go through in the training section for activity. I go through a pyramid where you can plan your training. So it's like 5 to 7 hours of steady state, like low level cardio, which is great for your heart, great for your stress levels, 2 to 3 lifting sessions, and 1 sprint session every 10 days. But what we've done is we've inverted the pyramid. We do like 7 to 10 spin cycling sessions, which are hard. We lift maybe once in a blue moon, and then we do like 4,000 steps a day, if that. So our pyramid is on its head, and we want to flip that. So the way to remedy low libido, get your training right. Second of all, get your eating right. So things like, we can talk at length about things that inhibit testosterone, but like eating good quality proteins, really, really nice organic vegetables, good quality meat and fishes, all those kind of things are obviously going to help. They're like highly processed oils, high sugar, like really, really high sugar diet. Some of these things will lead to low levels of testosterone. So it's just looking at like, really simple stuff: eating, moving, and sleeping. And if you haven't got a nutritionist, reach out to one and get help with that, because this can massively shift in a matter of weeks. And then the final thing is getting outdoors. Vitamin D is massive for testosterone production. It's the poor man's steroid. Yeah. So if you are trying to optimize how you feel, your testosterone levels, UVB sunbeds, getting out in the sun, walking in nature, all these things are proven and pragmatic.
Cool.
I think we can leave it there, Pete.
I think we can as well, mate. I think that was jam-packed.
Yeah,
20
guys,
minutes.
honestly, just to share, if you are feeling the symptoms of burnout that we talked about, speak to a great, practitioner of health. If you want to get in touch, head on over to menspod.com, carry on the conversation. I will be talking about this at our upcoming event, which is Men's Business, where I'll be talking about how men can optimize their testosterone with their business model. Okay. So hopefully this has helped you. If you've enjoyed it, head on over to the ratings and reviews. Give us a 5-star review. Always grateful for reviews. Other than that, we'll see you on the next podcast. Take care.
Cheers, guys.